Attend the world's best business workshop led by America's #1 business coach for free by subscribing on iTunes and leaving us an objective review. Claim your tickets by emailing us proof that you did it and your contact information to info@thrivetimeshow.com.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on your podcast download and radio. For those of you listening from Portland, Oregon, we are so excited. We're so honored to serve you. It's going to be a great year in store for all of us. And again, we're so excited to the folks at KPAM. Thank you to our friends at KPAM Radio for allowing us to broadcast on your wonderful station. Z, big shout out to KPAM. We love the folks in Portland.
KPAM, Trailblazers, go.
Bam. Now, here's a question that
Go
we
out
get
and watch
asked.
a gray whale today.
Here's a question, Z, that we get asked all over the world from people on the left coast, middle of the country. People in Australia ask us. This is probably one of the most commonly asked questions for people that have a business that's doing more than $2 million a year. Okay?
All right.
Which is a lot of businesses.
That's a lot of businesses.
How do I schedule my employees? So again, how to schedule employees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tee up the question. We have Marshall Morris just stepping in, the co-author of the best-selling book, Start Here. Get it today on Amazon.com or get your free copy today at thrivetimeshow.com. First question, number one. This is what we get from Thrivers all the time. Dr. Z, how do you establish a weekly budget for your optometry clinic or any of your businesses?
You reverse engineer it. What are your sales goals? Do you have comp numbers? In other words, has your business been ongoing?
I have two Thrivers I talked to today.
Okay.
And I'm going to skew every one of the questions for them.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so here we go. If I'm doing $160,000 a month of gross revenue, I can bank on it, count on it. It's very consistent and growing, but $160,000 a month, period. How much can I budget for my payroll? Marshall Morris also would like to know this because he will be doing budgeting for some of our clients coming up to help them make hard budgets. So this is all really good stuff that would be great for you. Because again, in the Start Here book, we document this, but to hear it firsthand from you, I think it'd be a great refresher for all of our listeners.
Okay, so $160,000
of gross revenue coming in per month. So every 4.3 weeks, $160,000 is coming in.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
Well, a lot of listeners don't know that. They don't think about it that way. They divide it by 4.
On the high end of payroll numbers, it's a percent. Everything's kind of based on a percentage. So that's why you can take it and reverse engineer into your business. Okay.
Got it.
On the high end would be around 25%. On the lower end, 20%. And then if you can get in the teens, you're rocking it.
Okay. So, and Chup, you're going to put this on the show notes. So action items, set up a high watermark of 25%.
That's if you're going over that, we're going to send out the payroll police to your business.
On the middle, you're saying maybe 20?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. On the middle, so set up a middle. I mean, that's like a goal, a stretch mark to go to the 20.
Correct.
And you're the man. I mean, if you have something like a let's say oil and gas business where basically you're pulling, it's automated, it's coming out of the ground, you built the system, and you've got a guy maintaining that thing.
Yeah.
That's a sexy business.
That's a sexy business because your payroll numbers are going to be way lower than that.
Okay, and now here's the deal. You've told me this before, and I want you to break down what you meant by this. You've told me, Clay Clark, it is very important you pay people fairly, but do not overpay them. You, my friend, are overpaying people. You want to pay people what they're worth, but not more. And I thought, he seems so terrible. But then you pointed out to me, you said, I remember you pointed this out to me, you said, if the boss makes less money than all the teammates, what aspirations would the teammates have to get promoted? I mean, you have to pay more as you get promoted. You can't promote people laterally where they're making less money, having more stress, but making less money.
Yes, more responsibility and less money.
Somebody out there who's fighting that internal conflict right now about overpaying people, what do you say?
Get over it. I tell you what, the thing about it is that the problem is when you set the bar, when you hire someone, you always say, "No, don't tell anybody what I'm paying you. Don't. This is between us.
This is between us.
This is just between us. Don't tell." And what do?
They immediately tell somebody.
And
then they immediately listen to rap music on the way to work and from work.
with their big boom, 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 boom.
And they immediately then go on Facebook and they immediately do what most people do because they're not entrepreneurs.
They're not. And so what happens is you have this culture of, what are you making? What are you doing? What are you making? Who are you? And so if you have one or two or three or all of them in there making too much, ultimately, because that means when you do payroll, that affects your bottom line. Bottom line means money in your pocket as the entrepreneur, right?
Right.
And so you have to get your head wrapped around with, like the other day, my manager approached me and said, hey, I have another $30 an hour I can spend. Is it okay if I get 2 employees at 15, or should I get 3 at 10?
This is such a great question that wouldn't even be prompted if you didn't have a hard budget. This is profound. And you said what?
And I said, that's up to you.
What?
You might get a higher quality person at 15 that can get more work done. And then again, at $10 an hour, you're going to get maybe a lower quality person. But that doesn't mean that they're still not going to be hard workers. So I'm going to, you know what? That's your decision to make.
Can I have one just slight...
But you're limited. You're limited with that money budget, though.
Can I have one slight political rabbit trail we go down real quick?
No.
Chup, I'm going to put this on the show notes here because I think this is powerful. But I worry about putting this on this big screen here because I don't want it to start playing audio. So I'll drag it just for a second. You can see right here. Z, you see it on the big screen?
Uh-huh.
So Fox News and CNN have verified with troops on the ground that now 98% of the fabulous group of people called ISIS, the terrorists, have been eliminated since Trump was elected. 98%. And they said, well, how's that happening? What he said to the people on the ground, or he told to the commanders on the ground, he said, listen, you guys know military warfare, okay? We're not going to use gas. We're not going to use anything bigger than a Moab, which is the mother of all bombs. We're not going nuclear or whatever, but kill them all. Like, you know what to do and when to do it, and if it's women and kids, let's take the high road here, but let's kill them. Like, you don't need to call corporate to get approval from me to make the decision.
Yeah.
And so these guys on the ground, if you watch that interview, if you type it, it's fascinating to watch it, but these guys on the ground are going, we actually can now engage enemy, which means if they shoot at us, we can kill them. And my buddy over there, he served over in Afghanistan, and he told me, literally, if you got shot at, you had to get approval previously to return fire a lot of times. And he's like, we would die. Literally, men were dying because you couldn't fire back. You had to wait for approval. So I think if you're giving your team a hard budget, your manager a hard budget, and you're telling them stick within that, that's what prompts them to make those micro decisions of should I hire 2 15s or 130?
Yeah, or 3 at 10. Or 1 at 30. Or 1, yeah. I mean, you could look at all that. 1 at 30, 2 at 15, or 3 at 10. So
here's the next question is, how do you create the actual staff schedule? I mean, how do you actually create... Let's go to your optometry clinic, one of them. How many people are working there roughly? I mean, I'm not about pop quiz for an exact number, but how many people are working at one of the clinics?
One of the clinics. Each clinic probably has, roughly 60, then 40, 100 total in both clinics, but 60 at Memorial, probably 40 at Harvard.
So let's say 60 people. How do you start making that schedule?
Well, you start with the deal that you made with each person when you hired them. So when you're a new hire, you typically are going to get evening hours. You're typically going to get weekend hours.
When you start.
Wow. Now, some people want that because they're in school during the day. Some people are maybe part-time and they can only work the weekends. Oh, those are so fun to find.
So wait a minute. When we come back from the break, I want to make sure that we get a chance to break this down because, Marshall, you work with a lot of clients all the time that struggle to make a schedule for their staff. Do you not? Is this not a common problem?
Very common problem.
And what are the questions they have a lot of times about scheduling their staff?
Well, it's how do you communicate it to them? And this is the one that I get the most is, what do you do when they don't like the schedule that you've given them?
I don't want to work Friday.
I don't want to work on that Friday.
I don't want to work. I just want to bang on the drum all day.
On the day.
And I want to watch gray whales.
Wow.
That's what I want to do. I want to bang on the drum and watch gray whales. And so, Z, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about scheduling your staff and the migration patterns of gray whales. So a little National Geography, mix it in there for the people in Portland. Stay tuned.
And back to a show that's cooler than the other side of the pillow. It's the Thrivetime Business Coach Show.
It's the Thrivetime Show on your radio. Get it on the broadcast or the podcast down low. We'll teach you the moves to make your business roll. Provide you the fuel to make you want to go. Whether you're a startup or a big-time baller, we'll teach you the systems to increase your dollars. Google Optimize, sales multiplies. We cite it all so we never lies. Pinch yourself, it's a truth, not a fable. My name is Clark, but I ain't Clark Gable. Next to me, it's Z, he owns Stables. And you can too if you unplug the cable. Now, Dr. Z, this is the question we're talking about today, is if you want to earn copious amounts of cash so that you could actually have the time freedom and financial freedom to acquire a stable, you've got to operate your business at a profit.
Ooh, wow.
Now, the business, according to Andrew Carnegie, he wrote a book called The Gospel of Wealth, which, Chuck, have you read The Gospel of Wealth yet? Have you had a chance to check out?
I have not.
It is a very, very small book.
Recommended.
And I would highly recommend that you check it over the weekend because it's maybe 25 pages long. But what he talks about, this is powerful. This is powerful. Powerful. He became the world's wealthiest man, and he explains this. And when he said it to me, it was like I was reading. It was like he was talking directly to me, and it set me free. He says, when you run a business, there is a three-legged stool, much like our marketing stool, and these three conversations are always happening. The employee has zero compromise and or forgiveness. They will go to whoever has the best product at the best price.
Okay.
The customer. The customer.
Yes.
The customer will go whoever has the best product at the best price. The employee always feels like they need to get paid more. And as an employer, you always need to pay yourself first. So you have this argument going on because every employee feels like their schedule's not good enough, the pay's not good enough. But the only reason that you're building the business is because you want it to serve you. And whenever you're done wanting to have that fight, you need to tap out. So he explained why he sold his businesses, because he's basically saying, I no longer wanted to argue with 100,000 employees about labor and 2 million customers about prices and whether I should pay myself a profit or not. And I think a lot of people, when they have a small business, the problem is there's only probably 10 of you or 20 of you. And maybe someone listening to this show today has 50 employees, but when you're scheduling employees, they are going to want a different schedule than what you give them. So that's where we start. How do we implement a schedule as an entrepreneur?
One, you negotiate it when you're hiring. That's when you have the most leverage. Okay? They don't have the job yet. They're there because they want the job. And then you let them know what the schedule is going to look like going forward. So when I hire a doctor, for example, I let them know what their schedule is going to look like.
When you hire them?
When I hire them, that's part of the negotiations.
Not after you hire them, because after you hire them, the deal is already set, and it's really hard to change anything once it's in motion.
Correct.
Every time you change any aspect of anybody's pay, they really get irritated, except as an entrepreneur, you're supposed to take it. So when payroll runs out of control, right, because people are doing whatever serves them best, you're supposed to, as an entrepreneur, go, that's okay, everybody. It's cool. I'll skip a paycheck this week.
I'll skip one.
And I see a lot of business owners doing that. So educate the entrepreneur listening who is struggling right now with their current staff to get them to actually follow the actual schedule, which they have been strategically scheduled for.
You know a super move?
Super move.
That I think is kind of a cool move. Is where they let them schedule themselves. Let me tell you what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, oofta. Don't you know?
Don't you know?
It's obvious. It's a move.
Some businesses that you can get away with this. Yeah, probably the restaurant business is the one I'm thinking of the most. And that is what you do is you put the schedule out, and then you let them grab slots.
Yes, I just want to let everybody know it's a fabulous restaurant. Friday is a busy day, and as you guys know, many of you make tips, and the tips are typically lower during the afternoons. So what I'm going to say to you right now is we're going to draw a straw, and whoever gets the straw first, you get to choose whatever shift you want, because everybody wants the night shift. You see, everybody wants it. All this fighting going on, all this contemplating, people out there fighting. Subliminally, nobody wants that shift. But you guys, now everybody wants that shift. I'll let you choose, and then you put it out there, and people want the shift.
They want the shift because they make the money.
Can't have.
They make the money, and you have more people than you can fit onto the schedule.
They're making the money.
They're making the money.
The people that want to do it.
They're making the money. So you have more waiters and waitresses that you can actually host for the week. And so you have a series of ways of letting them come in and fill out, grab their shifts, probably on, seniority, maybe on how many points they've gotten from being on time, for doing great, for getting people leaving comments about them. I mean, you can have a system of rating them, which you should have anyway. In other words, if you don't know who your best waiter is,
shame on you.
Shame on you.
Can you give me a tough conversation? Let's pretend that I'm an employee.
Okay.
And I have my schedule.
Okay.
And you are supposed to take Bo to... Did Bo play soccer, your son?
Yeah, he did.
So Bo has a soccer game. It's Saturday at 3.
Okay.
I'm a doctor who works for you. I'm supposed to work on Saturday at 3.
You're kind of a big deal then.
So this is the conversation.
Right.
I'm calling you through a phone, so it's slightly distorted. Dr. Z, here's the deal. I've got a little emergency here, and I can't work the shift today, and I want to see if you could fill in. I know you got Bo's game, but it's really important. I mean, this is a huge deal.
Well, it's really important that you committed to working, that you need to come in and work.
I don't know if I can do it. I mean, you might be, there might not be a doctor on staff at all today. I mean, seriously, I have to do this. I mean, there might not be anybody here today.
Well, I tell you what is it that you have to go do?
It's a medical procedure my wife's having done. I want to be there. I want to be present. I'm watching golf. I want to get to this procedure. It's very important, very critical for her health concerns.
Well, it's also very important that you bring home a paycheck to your wife when she gets done with her medical procedure. So I think it's important for you to come and work today. I have something I have scheduled, and you committed to working this day, so you need to come in.
You're cutting out. Phone's cutting out there. Gotta go. But I mean, do you not deal with that stuff? Is that not real?
Oh, all the time. And here's what you do. You need to get enough of that from that person, because that's usually a habit that some have. Then what you do is I don't say right then, well, you're fired if you don't come in on Saturday. Why? That's just stupid.
Right.
Now he's not going to come in all the next week, and I'm going to have to go take ups, and I'm going to have to go work, right? So I say, you know what? I'll tell you what. You go and be with your wife for that procedure. I think that's a worthy thing to do. And I'm going to miss my son's soccer game, but you know what? He'll have another one.
He'll graduate again.
He'll
graduate again. It's
she might have another procedure. We don't know, right?
We don't know.
We don't know.
He could have several procedures.
Several.
What kind of procedures does he haven't done?
Whoa. And so, and
you
then
got the growth.
I would put it in my mind on my to-do list. I would add it to my to-do list right then. Hire a new doctor.
Yes. When you said hire the new doctor, did you mean that like, metaphysically, or are you talking about like, because I already have one. He's a good person. He's a good person.
Well, in my mind right then, I fired that person. But I'm not going to fire them until it's convenient for me. You sound mean, am I?
You said you only fire when it's convenient for you?
Yes.
What about
they will quit you when it's convenient for them. Trust me.
What about just the ethics of business? I thought you was a Christian business owner who loved the God.
I am, and
the church, the Royal Rangers,
and I would give some doctor out there a new job. So
Okay, so that's how that works. So Now when we come back, I want to tap into Marshall's genius on this. I want to tap into Chuck's genius on this, because this is a question entrepreneurs have all the time. How do you deal with the manager who struggles to actually make the staff schedule? Making sure, just the practical, this isn't a very deep idea. It's just making sure the Tuesday shift is covered. The Wednesday shift is covered. The Friday shift is covered. They just struggle with the puzzle pieces of fitting it all together. And you've had that talk once. How do you correct that behavior? I want to get Marshall's take. I want to get Chubb's take. And I want to get Z's take, because he is an expert. He is a master of management. Stay tuned.
It's a Thrivetime show on the radio. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah. It's all about you. 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 Yeah. So we bring the boom.
To claim your tickets to the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop for free, all you have to do is to subscribe to the Thrivetime Show on iTunes, leave an objective review, and send us confirmation at info@thrivetimeshow.com. To claim your star in the National Star Registry, we can't help you.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. We're talking about how to staff effectively. How to build, if you have a company you're doing more than $2 million a year of revenue, you're going to have to staff the company effectively. You're going to have to declare people's hours, and people are going to give you pushback about those hours. So Marshall, let's say that you are managing a team of, let's say, 20 to 30 people, and the managers at the manager level are struggling to put together the Tetris, the puzzle pieces of the schedule. Who works Monday at 9, who works Monday at 5, and you always, as the owner, go into the business and you see gaps where there's too many people staffed or not enough people staffed, and you constantly see that happening. I want to get Marshall's take on it. I want to get Chubb's take on it, your take on it. How do you deal with that situation, Marshall?
Well, the first thing is I see a lot of business owners, whether it be sales or scheduling or whatever the case may be, accounting, where they are exceptional at a particular business task, and then they expect their next manager, the person that's stepping into doing that role, to be as good as them right out of the gate. And the fact of the matter is if you don't show them specifically how they need to do it, then they're never going to do it as effectively.
I feel probably 95% of the problem is this exact thing you're talking about. This is the issue most of the time.
That's right. And so what you have to do is you have to show them specifically how you would specifically schedule somebody. So you go through, you do the entire process together, okay? Step 1 is you show them how to do it. Step 2 is they do it, and you're sitting right there correcting them along the way. And so at the end of the process, you set up the parameters to allow them to make the decisions. And if they make the wrong decision, that's fine. That's an opportunity for them to learn. And you can correct that and change it over time and improve it by 2% every single week.
And I'm going to chime in on behalf of the entrepreneurs out there. I know if you're an entrepreneur, you're very resourceful.
Yeah.
So for me, just stuff that I do that I think is common sense, that I have done that I think is common sense, that you as a listener would say, oh my gosh, you're bizarre. So Z, here's an example.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, I'm driving through a toll booth and I realize I don't have a toll tag. I'm in Dallas. I don't have a toll tag. I don't have the ability. I don't have any cash with me. They don't accept change, right? So they only accept cash or change. They don't accept credit cards. So I'm thinking to myself, I've got to go past this, and I don't want a ton of tickets. Going to be in Dallas all weekend, for Sunday, whatever. So Z, you know what I did?
What did you do?
I rolled up my license plate, like a fruit roll up. And I drove
it up, yeah.
And I drove around. And I thought to myself, gosh, I feel bad about it. But I'd probably feel worse about it paying $1,000 of fines, and I don't have any change, and they won't accept credit card. So that was my move.
That was your
People
move.
would question the ethics of it. That's fine. Another example, the city of Tulsa one time turned off the water for a business I had because they, in error, turned off the water. I called the city. They said, you know what? We're so sorry. It's your neighbor. We'll turn it on tomorrow. However, the business required having water. Shocking.
Shaka-Khan.
So I had somebody on my team go down the little manhole, and we went, we bought one of those things at Lowe's where you can open it up and turn the water back on.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what else requires water?
What's that?
Gray whales. And in fact, they used to be called devilfish because they were so dangerous when being hunted by whalers. So that was the local devilfish. Wow. Even though they're not a fish or the devil.
You are a devilfish.
So another example of entrepreneurship. Sam Adams, not an entrepreneur, but he's memorialized in our office here with the Sam Adams.
Hello, Sam.
Full. What do you call a post-up stand of Sam Adams? And this is the
Cardboard
thing about Sam Adams. Sam Adams decided that, hey, the British are taxing us too much. We got to stop this. And the guys are going, absolutely. And he says, here's the deal. Why don't we toast? Let's drink a Boston lager to the Tories and the demise of the Brits. The demise of the Tories and the Brits. Everybody, And then about 8 or 9 in, he says, here's the deal, guys. Why don't we paint a red X on the doors of all the businesses that are sympathizers to the British? And that way we'll boycott them. And then when they run out of money, they'll go back home. And they're like, dude.
Great idea.
Based upon the fact we're so drunk we can't feel our face, let's do this. Now, Sam Adams had a history of being drunk. So he runs out there, woo! And next thing you know, there's a little violence going on because the British business owners are being starved out. The British throne is realizing the boycott has begun. We don't know who fired the first shots, but now the Revolutionary War happened. There's a certain resourcefulness that is in the mind of an entrepreneur that is not found in that of the average person. And I'm just telling you, if you want to delegate resourcefulness, it's not going to work.
I love the way that you paint that as resourceefulness.
It is it not?
I know. It's fun.
Starting the Revolutionary War.
Starting that. Cheating Dallas out of toll money. I mean, it's a
starting a war.
Yeah, starting a war. And I mean,
Russell Simmons. How did hip-hop music get famous? This is what Russell Simmons did. Russell Simmons this is a true story. He went around town, he sold drugs, and he paid people cash. He said, here's the deal. I want you to call the station today, the FM station, and request the song These Are the Breaks to be played. And tell them it's huge. Like you're hearing it in all the clubs, you're hearing it on the other station, but do it randomly enough. So this is a real story. 1978, 79, he's paying people to do this. And so pretty soon a lot of people are like, well, if you keep paying, I'll keep calling. So people are calling, I'm just calling. I want you to know you got to play These Are the Breaks by Curtis Blow. It is hot. I don't know why you want to do it. I'm listening to the other station right now because it is crazy. You guys are totally missing out. Boo! And so one by one, the station's like, I don't know who the heck's calling, but we're getting a lot of people calling, requesting this song. We should probably play it.
Should probably play it.
Hence, the introduction of hip hop. These are the breaks. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. That's the song that Jim Rome uses as his intro, the sports announcer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Talk show host.
Sure.
All I'm saying is you've got to be resourceful, and I think a lot of people try to delegate resourcefulness, and to Marshall's point, it doesn't work. So here are the next questions I have. What are the times when you will compromise with an employee's schedule or not, Dr. Z? When will you compromise and when will you not?
Well, when they've been there a long time, they're a really valued A+ employee. Then I try to allow them to not work the weekends.
You
allow
treat
them to have
everyone differently?
Yes.
What?
I treat all of my employees differently.
It's funny you say that because Jack Welch said that, the former CEO of GE.
Oh, I'm in good company. He's my hero.
Steve Jobs has said that.
Oh.
You know, it seems like all the management books I read talk about treating everyone differently, but we shouldn't do that. We should treat everyone the same because that's what our school teachers told us. And they are great. Aren't most school teachers great entrepreneurs?
Most of them are.
Wait a minute. They're not entrepreneurs. And we move on.
And we move on.
And we move on. So, Chup, what are the toughest aspects of managing a large team? You've managed a lot of construction employees at one time. What are the toughest aspects of managing when it's beyond 10 people?
We talked about it earlier in the show, but making sure they're following the org chart and not robbing the upper level team members or managers of their time is one of the hardest things that I had to deal with. Everybody always wanted to call me or my father when they had superintendents on the job.
Don't call me daughter. I say to... Sorry.
Don't call my father.
Your picture...
So that was one of the things.
I don't know if the lead singer of Pearl Jam knows the lyrics to his own songs. I honestly don't.
Does he need to know?
I said every once in a while he gives you a word where you know that he knows one word. I say to you, and it's almost like he's singing on behalf of all the soccer moms listening.
Because we don't know the words either. Yeah,
you know, that's amazing how he does it.
It's amazing.
Every time I've watched him, I'm going, this guy doesn't know his own lyrics. I think he's blacked out. He's going for it. Okay, so the next part, Marshall, what are the toughest aspects of managing a small team?
The toughest aspects of managing a small team are going to be you don't have as many redundancies and you don't have as many people to fill in should there be a gap or somebody's deficient or slowing down the job. The other problem is if you fire one person of a 4-person team,
25%.
You just fired 25% of your entire
team. If I just
team.
reduce the payroll by 25%.
On top of that, if it's a small core team, you probably become kind of friendly with those people, and so it can be harder to hold them accountable if you care too much.
I know that we is sleeping together, but here's the thing: if you have been fired, you is no longer going to have this job. But I'll tell you, tonight I want you to come on back.
Those views are not.
Come on back, Tigger. Come on back. Come on back into the palace.
This is just business. This is just work.
This is just business. When I go home, it's business time. Now, work, what I'm telling you, this is just checklist, and you was fired, but we are in the close quarters. But seriously, will you snuggle?
You're fired.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
No, see, the final question I have for you. I know you're passionate about this.
In a number of ways, you can't do that.
Number. When are meetings a waste of time, and when are they good?
The meetings are a waste of time, probably most of the time.
Oh, really?
Profound.
Z, let it happen.
I tell you what. Okay, let's say you're going to have a 2-hour meeting once a week.
Okay.
That's 5% of their productivity for the week.
Right.
Do you realize that? Okay, we're gonna have a team. We're gonna have a team huddle every Monday, starting at 7 or 8, whenever. When everybody get here. Okay, that's when we're gonna have it. Now, okay, we're gonna talk about
nothing.
Nothing, and we're gonna spend 2 hours.
I would say this: if the meeting is needed, then have the meeting, and if it's not needed, don't have the meeting. Don't have a meeting, just have meetings.
Exactly. And so people that just schedule meetings because they feel like they need to schedule meetings, I just want to throw punch them.
Go to thrivetimeshow.com for podcasts, workshops, one-on-one coaching, and videos. 3, 2, 1, boom.